Imagine holding a penny that most people would ignore. Yet hidden within it could be a small piece of American history, a story of precision, craftsmanship, and in some rare cases, surprising value. What if a simple 1971 penny with a tiny S mint mark could be worth far more than 1 cent? Today, we're exploring the 1971 S Lincoln penny, a coin that at first glance looks ordinary, but has quietly built a strong reputation among collectors over the years. Whether you're someone who checks their spare change or someone who already collects coins, this is one piece you'll want to understand. The 1971 S Lincoln penny was minted in San Francisco, which is what the small S under the date represents. By this time, the United States Mint had already stopped using silver in most coins, and pennies were made primarily of copper. In fact, this coin is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it that rich reddish-brown color when preserved well. Now, 1971 was an interesting time in American coin history. The country was going through economic shifts, inflation was becoming more noticeable, and coin production was increasing to meet demand. The San Francisco Mint, however, had a special role. It was known for producing higher quality coins, especially proof coins made specifically for collectors. That brings us to one of the most important details about the 1971 S penny. Many of these coins were struck as proof coins. A proof coin is not meant for circulation. It is carefully made using polished dies and special techniques to create a sharp, mirror-like finish. These coins were sold in sets and kept by collectors, often untouched for decades. But not all 1971 S pennies are proof coins. Some were made for circulation, and these are usually less shiny with more standard finishes. The difference between a proof coin and a regular strike is one of the key factors that can affect value. Let's talk about design. The 1971 S Lincoln penny still features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design first introduced in 1909. On the back, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, which had been used since 1959. This means the coin carries two iconic American symbols, making it instantly recognizable even today. But what really makes this coin interesting are its variations and potential errors. Some 1971 S-proof pennies have what collectors call a deep cameo finish. This means the background looks like a mirror, while Lincoln's portrait appears frosted and stands out sharply. These coins are especially attractive and can command higher prices. Another detail to watch for is doubling. Some coins show slight doubling in the letters or numbers, especially in the word Liberty or the date. While not extremely common, these small variations can make a coin more desirable. Now you might be wondering, is this coin actually rare? The answer depends on what version you have. Millions of 1971 S pennies were made, so in general, they are not rare in everyday condition. However, high-quality examples, especially proof coins in perfect condition, can be surprisingly valuable. For example, a standard circulated 1971 S penny might only be worth a few cents. But a proof coin in excellent condition could be worth several dollars. And if you find one graded at the highest levels, such as PR 69 or PR 70, the value can rise significantly. Some top-grade examples have sold for over $100, and in rare cases, even more depending on demand and eye appeal. Collectors pay close attention to condition. A coin with no scratches, strong shine, and perfect detail is far more valuable than one that has been worn down over time. This is why many proof coins from 1971 are still in great shape today, because they were never meant to be used in daily transactions. But with value comes the risk of fakes or altered coins. So how can you tell if your 1971 S penny is real? First, look at the mint mark. On genuine coins, the S should appear clean and properly aligned. If it looks uneven or added later, that's a warning sign. Some people have tried to add fake mint marks to increase a coin's value. Next, check the surface. Proof coins should have a smooth, mirror-like background. If the coin looks dull or rough, it's likely a regular strike, not a proof. Also, pay attention to details like Lincoln's hair and the lines of the memorial. Sharp, crisp details are a good sign of authenticity and quality. Weight can also help. A genuine 1971 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. While this might seem like a small detail, serious collectors often use precise scales to verify their coins. Here's something many people don't realize. The The San Francisco Mint stopped producing regular circulation coins for a period after the early 1970s. This makes coins from this era, including the 1971s, part of an important transition period in U.S. coin production. It's one of the reasons collectors continue to pay attention to them. Another fun fact is that many of these proof coins were originally sold in plastic cases as part of proof sets. If you happen to find a complete 1971 proof set with the original packaging, it can be worth more than the individual coins alone. Collectors love original packaging because it adds authenticity and history. You might also find coins with different color tones. Some appear bright red, while others have turned brown over time. Collectors often prefer red coins because they look closer to how the coin originally appeared when it was minted. A fully red 1971s proof penny in perfect condition is much more desirable than a brown one. So why do collectors still care about this coin today? It's not just about the money. It's about the story. Each 1971s penny represents a moment in time, a piece of craftsmanship from a specific mint, and a connection to American history. For many collectors, the excitement comes from finding a high-quality example or discovering a hidden detail that others might miss. There's also something satisfying about knowing that even a small coin like a penny can hold value beyond its face amount. It reminds us that not everything valuable is obvious at first glance. And here's the most interesting part. These coins are still out there. While many are safely stored in collections, others may still be sitting in old drawers, forgotten boxes, or inherited coin jars. Someone, somewhere, might already own a valuable 1971s penny without even realizing it. So the next time you come across an old penny, take a closer look. Check the date. Look for that small S mint mark. Notice the shine, the details, and the condition. You might just discover that what seems ordinary is actually something worth keeping. Because in the world of coin collecting, value isn't always about rarity alone. It's about condition, history, and the story behind the metal. And the 1971s Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how a simple coin can carry all three. And who knows? The next penny you examine might not just be spare change. It might be a small treasure waiting to be recognized. Imagine pulling a simple penny from your pocket, barely giving it a second glance, only to discover that this ordinary-looking coin could quietly hold a story worth far more than 1 cent. What if one of the most overlooked coins from the 1970s is hiding details that collectors are still chasing today? The 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of those coins that most people have seen, but very few truly understand. At first glance, it looks like any other penny. It has Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Nothing flashy, nothing rare-looking. But beneath that simplicity lies a deeper story that connects history, production, and the subtle details that collectors pay close attention to. To understand this coin, we have to go back to 1973. The United States was going through a period of economic change. Inflation was rising, and everyday costs were becoming a concern for many Americans. Coins like the penny were still heavily used in daily life, and the U.S. Mint was producing them in massive numbers to keep up with demand. The 1973 Lincoln penny was struck at multiple mint locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. When you see a 1973 penny without a mint mark, it means it was produced in Philadelphia. At that time, the Philadelphia Mint typically did not include a mint mark on its coins, which is why so many pennies from that era appear blank beneath the date. Billions of these coins were made in 1973. That might make you think they are all common and not worth much. And for the most part, that's true. But as with many coins, the real story isn't about how many were made. It's about the details, the condition, and the rare variations that slipped through the minting process. The design of the 1973 penny follows the classic Lincoln cent style introduced in 1909. On the front, you see Abraham Lincoln facing to the right, along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1973. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, with the words, "United States of America," and 1 cent. What makes this coin interesting is not just its design, but what it's made of. In 1973, pennies were composed primarily of copper, about 95% copper and 5% zinc. This gives the coin its rich, warm color that many collectors still prefer today. Later changes in metal composition would make newer pennies look and feel very different. But here's where things start to get more interesting. Even though billions were produced, not all 1973 no-mint mark pennies are the same. Some were struck with better detail, sharper edges, and stronger impressions. Others came out weaker, with worn dies or slight imperfections. And then there are the errors. Coin errors are one of the biggest reasons collectors pay attention to otherwise common coins. In 1973, some pennies were struck with noticeable mistakes. These can include doubled letters, off-center strikes, or small defects in the metal. While most errors are minor, a few stand out enough to catch the eye of experienced collectors. One of the most talked about varieties involves doubling, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated. This can happen when the die used to strike the coin shifts just slightly. It's not always easy to see, but under magnification, the doubling can become clear, especially in the lettering. Another detail collectors look for is the condition of the coin. This is where value can change dramatically. A worn 1973 penny that has been in circulation for decades might only be worth a few cents. But a coin that has been preserved in near-perfect condition can tell a completely different story. Coins are graded on a scale, and the highest levels are reserved for those that show almost no signs of wear. These coins often have a bright, original shine, known as luster, and very sharp details. Finding a 1973 no-mint mark penny in this kind of condition is much harder than you might expect, because most were used heavily in everyday transactions. Now let's talk about value, because this is where curiosity really turns into excitement. In an average circulated condition, a 1973 no-mint mark penny is usually worth just a few cents. But in uncirculated condition, especially at higher grades, the value can rise significantly. Some well-preserved examples have sold for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on their quality. And when you add in a strong error or an exceptional grade, the price can climb even higher. There have been auction results where top-grade examples of 1973 pennies, particularly those with strong visual appeal, have reached into the hundreds of dollars range. While these are not everyday finds, they show how much condition and rarity can matter. It's important to understand that not every 1973 penny will be valuable. In fact, most are still worth face value or slightly more. But the possibility that one could be special is what keeps collectors searching through jars, boxes, and old collections. So how can you tell if your 1973 no-mint mark penny is worth a closer look? Start by checking the date and the area beneath it. If there is no mint mark, you likely have a Philadelphia coin. Then look at the overall condition. Is the coin worn down, or does it still have sharp details? Does it shine, or is it dull? Next, examine the lettering and numbers closely. Look for any signs of doubling or unusual shapes. A magnifying glass can be very helpful here. Even small differences can make a big impact. Weight is another factor. A standard 1973 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it feels significantly different, it could be worth investigating further. However, keep in mind that normal wear can slightly reduce weight over time. You should also be cautious of cleaned coins. Some people try to clean old pennies to make them look better, but this can actually reduce their value. Collectors prefer coins in their original condition, even if they show some natural aging. Now here's something many people don't realize. The 1973 penny is part of a much larger story about American coinage. Just a few years later, the composition of the penny would change due to rising copper prices. This makes earlier copper pennies, like those from 1973, more appealing to some collectors. Another interesting detail is how many of these coins are still out there. Because they were made in such large numbers, they can still be found in circulation, though it's becoming less common. This gives everyday people a chance to discover something interesting without needing to spend a lot of money. There's also a certain nostalgia attached to coins from the 1970s. For many collectors, these coins represent a connection to the past, a time when cash was used more often and coins passed through countless hands. Collectors love the 1973 no-mint mark penny not because it is always rare, but because it represents opportunity. It's a coin that teaches you how to look closely, how to notice small details, and how to understand the factors that create value. It's also a reminder that not everything valuable looks valuable at first glance. Sometimes the most ordinary objects hold the most interesting stories. And that brings us back to where we started. That simple penny in your hand might not seem like much. But if you take a closer look, you might begin to see it differently. You might start to notice the details, the history, and the small imperfections that make it unique. Because in the world of coin collecting, value is not always about rarity alone. It's about condition, history, and the stories that each coin carries with it. So the next time you come across a 1973 penny with no mint mark, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to look at it carefully. You might not find a fortune every time, but you will gain something just as valuable. A deeper understanding of how something so small can hold such a fascinating story. And who knows, the next coin you check might be the one that surprises you. What if the small, ordinary penny sitting in your pocket right now could quietly be worth thousands of dollars, and you wouldn't even realize it unless you knew exactly what to look for? Today, we're diving into a coin that has sparked curiosity among collectors across the United States, the 1992 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like just another everyday coin. It's copper-colored, lightweight, and familiar. But hidden within certain versions of this penny is a detail so subtle, most people miss it entirely, and yet, that tiny detail can turn a 1-cent coin into a collector's dream. The 1992 Lincoln penny was part of a long-running series that began in 1909, created to honor President Abraham Lincoln. By 1992, the coin had already been in circulation for over 80 years, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The version we're focusing on today carries a small D mint mark, which means it was produced at the Denver Mint. Millions of these pennies were struck that year, and most of them are still only worth face value. But not all of them. To understand why this coin has become so interesting, we need to look back at how pennies were made during this time. In 1992, Lincoln pennies were composed of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. This gave them their classic appearance while keeping production costs low. On the front, you see Lincoln's profile, a design created by Victor David Brenner. On the back, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, which had been featured since 1959. Everything about the coin seems standard. But in the world of coin collecting, it's often the smallest variations that matter most. And in 1992, a subtle design detail created one of the most talked about varieties in modern numismatics. That detail is known as the close AM variety. On the reverse side of the coin, look closely at the word America. On most 1992 pennies, there is a noticeable space between the letters A and M. This is known as the wide AM design, and it's what you'll find on the vast majority of coins from that year. But on a very small number of 1992 pennies, including some from the Denver Mint, the A and M are much closer together, almost touching. This is the close AM variety. Now here's where things get interesting. The close AM design was actually intended for proof coins, not regular circulation coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors, with sharper details and a more polished finish. Somehow, a small number of these proof-style dies were used to strike regular circulation coins at the Denver Mint. The result? A rare and unexpected variety that slipped into everyday change. Because this wasn't supposed to happen, the number of 1992 D close AM pennies is extremely limited. And that's exactly what makes them valuable. But rarity alone isn't enough. What really drives value is demand, and this coin has plenty of it. Collectors are constantly searching for this variety, hoping to find one hidden in old coin jars, bank rolls, or inherited collections. The excitement comes from the idea that anyone could discover one, even today. Over the years, verified examples of the 1992 D close AM penny have sold for impressive amounts. In lower grades, these coins can sell for several $100s. But in higher grades, where the coin is well preserved and shows minimal wear, the value can jump into the thousands. Some top-condition examples have been known to sell for over $10,000 at auction. Imagine that. A coin that once bought a piece of candy now being worth more than a used car. All because of a tiny spacing between two letters. So how can you tell if you have one? The first step is to look for the date and mint mark. You'll need a 1992 penny with a small D below the year, indicating it was minted in Denver. Then, turn the coin over and focus on the word America. This is where the magic happens. On a normal coin, the A and M will have a clear gap between them. You can easily see space. But on a close AM variety, the letters are almost touching. The gap is minimal, and in some cases, it may even look like the letters are connected at the base. You may need a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to see this clearly. Lighting also matters. Tilt the coin slightly under a light source, and the spacing will become more visible. Another helpful detail is the position of the FG initials, which stand for Frank Gasparo, the designer of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. On genuine close AM varieties, the FG initials are typically closer to the Lincoln Memorial than on standard coins. This isn't the main feature, but it can help confirm what you're seeing. Of course, with valuable coins, there's always the risk of counterfeits or altered pieces. Some people attempt to modify coins to make the letters appear closer together. That's why, if you believe you found a 1992 D-Close AM penny, it's important to have it authenticated by a professional grading service. Experts can verify whether the coin is genuine and assign it a grade, which directly affects its value. Now, let's talk about something surprising. Many of these rare pennies may still be out there, unnoticed. Unlike older coins that were quickly pulled from circulation once collectors identified them, modern coins like the 1992 D penny often remain in everyday use for years. That means there's still a chance, however small, that one could be sitting in a coin jar, a piggy bank, or even your pocket change. This possibility is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's not just about buying rare coins. It's about the hunt. The idea that something valuable could be hiding in plain sight keeps collectors searching, examining, and learning. There are also a few fun facts about this coin that many people don't know. For example, the discovery of the 1992 close AM variety didn't happen immediately. It took years before collectors began noticing the unusual spacing. By then, many of these coins had already circulated widely, making them even harder to track down. Another interesting detail is that a similar variety exists for the 1992 penny without a mint mark, which was produced in Philadelphia. That version is even rarer than the Denver issue and can command even higher prices in top condition. Collectors also appreciate this coin because it represents a modern era, not something from a distant past. It shows that even in recent decades, with advanced technology and quality control, mistakes can still happen. And when they do, they create opportunities for collectors to discover something truly special. The 1992 D-Close AM penny has become a symbol of how small details can make a big difference. It reminds us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, it takes knowledge, patience, and a careful eye to recognize what others overlook. Today, this coin continues to attract attention from both experienced collectors and beginners. For some, it's a key piece in completing a Lincoln cent collection. For others, it's the thrill of finding something rare without spending a fortune. And perhaps that's the most fascinating part of all. Unlike many valuable items that require significant investment, this coin started as something anyone could obtain for just 1 cent. Its journey from everyday currency to sought-after collectible is what makes it so compelling. So the next time you come across a handful of pennies, don't ignore them. Take a closer look. Check the dates, the mint marks, and especially the details that most people miss. Because hidden among those ordinary coins, there just might be something extraordinary. And if you ever find yourself staring at the word America on a 1992 penny, wondering whether those letters are just a little too close together, you'll know exactly why that tiny detail matters, and how it could change everything. What if a simple penny, the kind you might ignore in your pocket or leave behind in a jar, could actually be worth far more than 1 cent? Imagine holding a 1995 D Lincoln penny and not realizing it might carry hidden details that collectors quietly search for every day. The 1995 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny is one of those coins that seems ordinary at first glance. It was produced in large numbers, used in everyday transactions, and passed through countless hands without much attention. But like many coins in American history, its real story lies beneath the surface. For collectors and curious individuals alike, this penny represents a fascinating mix of history, subtle variations, and the possibility of unexpected value. To understand this coin, we need to go back to 1995. This was a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies each year to keep up with demand. The D Mint mark on the coin tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major facilities responsible for circulating coinage in the United States. Pennies from this era were still made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating, a change that had been introduced in the early 1980s to reduce production costs. The design of the 1995 D Lincoln penny follows a long-standing tradition. On the front, you'll see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been in use since 1909. It was created by Victor David Brenner and remains one of the most recognized coin designs in the world. On the back, the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This means that the 1995 D penny is part of a long-running series that many collectors have spent decades studying and collecting. At first glance, there doesn't seem to be anything particularly unusual about this coin. It has the same size, shape, and general appearance as millions of others. But when collectors take a closer look, they often begin to notice subtle differences that can make certain coins stand out. One of the most talked about features associated with 1995 Lincoln pennies is the possibility of minting errors. While the famous double die error is more commonly associated with the Philadelphia minted 1995 penny, collectors still carefully examine Denver minted coins for any unusual characteristics. These can include slight doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, or other minor irregularities that occurred during the minting process. Minting errors happen when something goes slightly wrong during production. Could be a misalignment of the die, a problem with the metal blank, or even a mechanical issue in the press. Most errors are small and go unnoticed by the general public, but collectors pay close attention to these details because they can significantly increase a coin's value. Another important factor that affects the value of a 1995 D penny is its condition. Coins that have been heavily circulated tend to show wear, scratches, and fading details. These are usually worth only a few cents, even today. However, coins that have been preserved in near-perfect condition, often referred to as mint state, can be much more desirable. A high-grade 1995 D Lincoln penny with strong luster, sharp details, and no visible damage can attract the attention of serious collectors. These coins are graded on a scale, and even a small difference in grade can have a noticeable impact on value. For example, a coin graded MS65 might be worth a modest amount, while one graded MS67 or higher could be worth significantly more. There have been instances where exceptionally well-preserved 1995 D pennies have sold for impressive prices at auctions. While most examples are not worth large sums, top-quality specimens have been known to reach into the hundreds of dollars. These are not common finds, but they serve as a reminder that even modern coins can hold surprising value under the right conditions. So why would collectors care about a coin that was made in such large quantities? The answer lies in the challenge and excitement of finding something special among the ordinary. With billions of pennies produced, the vast majority are identical and common. But every so often, a coin with a unique feature or exceptional condition appears, and that's what keeps collectors searching. If you're wondering how to identify a valuable 1995 D Lincoln penny, there are a few simple steps you can follow. First, look at the mint mark. The D should be clearly visible below the date on the front of the coin. Next, examine the coin's overall condition. Is the surface clean and shiny, or is it worn and dull? Are the details sharp, especially in Lincoln's hair and the lettering? You'll also want to check for any unusual features. Use a magnifying glass to look closely at the text and design. Look for doubling, misalignment, or anything that seems out of the ordinary. While most coins will appear normal, it only takes one unusual detail to make a coin stand out. Another important step is to compare your coin with verified examples. There are many online resources and collector guides that show what genuine coins and known errors look like. This can help you avoid confusion and better understand what you're seeing. When it comes to spotting fakes, the good news is that counterfeit 1995 D pennies are not very common. However, altered coins do exist. Some people attempt to modify coins to make them appear more valuable, such as adding or changing mint marks. To avoid being misled, always look for consistency in the design. The mint mark should match the style and placement used by the U.S. Mint during that time. Weight and size can also be helpful indicators. A genuine 1995 D penny should weigh about 2.5 grams and have a standard diameter. If something feels off, it's worth taking a closer look or consulting a professional. There are also some fun and surprising details about this coin that many people don't realize. For example, by 1995, The Lincoln penny had already been in circulation for over 85 years, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Despite changes in technology and materials, the basic design remained consistent, connecting generations of Americans through a single coin. Another interesting fact is that many people overlook modern pennies entirely when searching for valuable coins. They often focus on older dates, assuming that newer coins can't be worth much. But this isn't always true. Coins like the 1995 D penny show that value can come from condition, rarity within a specific grade, or unique features rather than age alone. Collectors also appreciate the 1995 D Lincoln penny because it represents a time when coin production was transitioning into more modern techniques. The quality of minting was generally high, but small variations still occurred, giving collectors something to study and compare. For some, collecting these pennies becomes more than just a hobby. It turns into a treasure hunt. People search through rolls of coins, check their spare change, and even revisit old collections, hoping to find that one piece that stands out. The thrill of discovery is a big part of what makes coin collecting so appealing. Today, the 1995 D Lincoln penny continues to hold a place in the world of coin collecting. While it may not be the rarest coin, it offers a perfect example of how everyday objects can carry hidden stories and potential value. It reminds us that even the smallest items can be worth a closer look. So the next time you come across a penny, don't be so quick to dismiss it. Take a moment to examine it. Look at the date, the mint mark, and the details. You never know what you might find. That simple coin in your hand could be more than just spare change. It could be a small piece of history, waiting to be discovered. And that's the real beauty of coins like the 1995 D Lincoln penny. They challenge us to pay attention, to stay curious, and to see value where others might not. Because sometimes the most ordinary things can hold the most unexpected surprises. Imagine finding a simple penny in your pocket and realizing it might be worth far more than 1 cent. Not because it's made of gold, not because it's ancient, but because of something most people overlook completely. Today, we're talking about the 2004 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin millions have seen, but very few truly understand. At first glance, the 2004 Lincoln penny looks ordinary. It carries the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln on the front, just like countless pennies before it. Many people assume that if a coin has no mint mark, it must be rare or special. But in this case, the truth is more interesting and more surprising than most expect. To understand this coin, we need to go back to 2004. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies every year to keep up with demand. These coins were struck at different facilities, mainly Philadelphia and Denver. Coins made in Denver carry a small D mint mark, while coins made in Philadelphia traditionally had no mint mark at all. So when you see a 2004 penny without a mint mark, it simply means it was produced in Philadelphia. That might sound like it makes the coin common, and in many ways it does. Millions upon millions of 2004 no mint mark pennies were released into circulation. But here's where things start to get interesting. Not all of those coins are equal, and some carry hidden details that can make them far more valuable than their face value. The design of the 2004 Lincoln penny is part of a long-running series that began in 1959. On the front, you see Abraham Lincoln's profile, a design created by Victor David Brenner. Above his head is the word Liberty, and in front of him is the date, 2004. The phrase, "In God We Trust," arches over the top. On the back, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was used from 1959 until 2008. This means the 2004 penny belongs to the final years of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse era, making it part of a historically significant period just before the U.S. Mint began redesigning the penny's reverse in 2009 to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial. Now let's talk about what the coin is actually made of. By 2004, pennies were no longer mostly copper. Instead, they were made of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change happened back in 1982 to reduce production costs. So while the coin looks like solid copper, it's actually mostly zinc inside. This composition can sometimes lead to interesting wear patterns, especially if the copper plating gets damaged. So if millions were made, why are people still searching for this coin? The answer lies in condition and errors. Most 2004 no mint mark pennies are only worth 1 cent. But coins in exceptional condition, what collectors call uncirculated or mint state, can be worth significantly more. These are coins that were never used in everyday transactions and still retain their original shine and detail. A high-grade 2004 no-mint mark penny can sell for a few dollars, sometimes even more if it's in near-perfect condition. While that may not sound like life-changing money, it's still a big jump from 1 cent. And for collectors, condition is everything. But the real excitement comes from error coins. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process, and they can turn an ordinary penny into something truly valuable. In 2004 no-mint mark pennies, collectors look for several types of errors. One of the most sought after is the double die error. This happens when the coin's design is stamped more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubling effect on letters or numbers. If you look closely at the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," you might notice slight shadows or overlaps. A genuine double die can significantly increase a coin's value. Another type of error is off-center striking. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the strike, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin can be. There are also die cracks, where lines appear on the coin due to cracks in the minting die. While some die cracks are minor, larger and more visible ones can make the coin more desirable to collectors. Then there are broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally shapes its edges, resulting in a slightly larger and flatter coin. These errors are rare compared to the total number of coins produced, which is why collectors are always searching for them in terms of real-world value. Most 2004 no-mint mark pennies sell for face value or slightly above, but error coins can tell a very different story. Some error examples have sold for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on the type and severity of the mistake. High-grade coins graded by professional services can also reach impressive prices, especially if they are nearly flawless. Collectors often rely on grading systems to determine a coin's value. A coin graded MS 65 or higher is considered in excellent condition, with minimal imperfections. A perfect MS 70 coin is extremely rare and can command a premium price, even for a modern penny. So how can you tell if your 2004 no-mint mark penny is worth more than 1 cent? Start by examining it closely under good lighting. Look for unusual features like doubling in the letters, misaligned designs, or cracks. Check the edges and the overall shape of the coin. If something looks off, it might be worth investigating further. Next, consider the coin's condition. Is it shiny and clean, or worn and scratched? Coins that have been handled a lot tend to lose their value, while those that look almost new are more desirable. It's also important to be cautious about fakes or misleading claims. Some people may try to sell ordinary pennies as rare simply because they have no mint mark. Remember, for 2004, no mint mark is normal for Philadelphia coins. The real value comes from condition and errors, not just the absence of a mint mark. If you think you've found something special, you can compare it to verified examples online or consider having it evaluated by a professional coin grading service. These experts can confirm whether your coin has a genuine error and assign it an official grade. Here's a fun fact that surprises many people. Even though pennies are often overlooked and sometimes even considered a nuisance, they are one of the most widely collected coins in the United States. The Lincoln Penny series, in particular, has been around for over a century, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Another interesting detail is that the Lincoln Memorial on the back of the coin actually shows a tiny image of Lincoln's statue inside the building. If you look very closely, you can see it sitting between the columns. That means Lincoln appears on both sides of the coin, a unique feature not found on most other coins. Collectors love the 2004 no-mint mark penny not because it's rare in the traditional sense, but because it represents opportunity. It's a coin that almost anyone can find, yet it still holds the potential for hidden value. It invites people to look closer, to pay attention, and to discover something others might miss. There's also a certain excitement in searching through everyday change. The idea that something valuable could be hiding in plain sight adds a sense of adventure to coin collecting. It turns an ordinary moment into a treasure hunt. Over time, as more people become interested in coins, even modern pennies like the 2004 edition can gain attention. While they may not reach the legendary status of older rare coins, they still play an important role in the hobby. They are accessible, affordable, and full of small details that reward careful observation. And that's really what makes this coin special. It's not just about money. It's about curiosity, history, and the thrill of discovery. So the next time you come across a 2004 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Turn it under the light. Examine every detail. Because while most of these coins are just worth 1 cent, a few might tell a completely different story. And who knows? The next coin you check might be the one that turns an ordinary day into something unforgettable. What if the penny sitting quietly in your pocket right now, the one you almost ignored, could actually be worth far more than 1 cent? Not because it's old, not because it's gold, but because of what it doesn't have. Today, we're talking about the 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like just another modern coin, something you might get back in change at a grocery store. But for collectors, this simple detail, the missing mint mark, can turn an ordinary coin into something worth a second look, and sometimes, much more. The 2013 Lincoln penny is part of a long tradition in American coinage. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, making it the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Over the years, the design has changed, but Lincoln's portrait has remained. By 2013, the penny had already gone through multiple reverse designs, and at this point, it featured the Union shield on the back, symbolizing the strength and unity of the United States. Now here's where things get interesting. In 2013, Lincoln pennies were produced at multiple U.S. mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins made in Denver carry a D mint mark. Coins from San Francisco, when made for collectors, carry an S. But coins from Philadelphia, traditionally, they have no mint mark at all. So when you see a 2013 penny without a mint mark, it means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And that might sound completely normal. After all, millions, even billions of pennies are made there. But in the world of coin collecting, even something that seems common can become valuable under the right conditions. Let's talk about what makes this coin unique. First, the composition. The 2013 penny is not made of solid copper like older coins. Instead, it has a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change happened in 1982 to reduce production costs. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and has that familiar copper-colored appearance. The front, or obverse, shows Abraham Lincoln's profile, a design created by Victor David Brenner. It's a design that has lasted for over a century, making it one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. Above Lincoln's head, you'll see the words, "In God We Trust." To the left, Liberty. And to the right, the year 2013. On the back, the Union shield design stands out. It features a shield with 13 vertical stripes, representing the original colonies, joined by a horizontal bar that symbolizes unity. Across the top, the words E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. It's a powerful design that reflects the nation's identity. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds standard, so where does the value come in? The truth is, most 2013 no mint mark pennies are worth exactly 1 cent. But collectors aren't just looking for any coin. They're searching for condition, rarity, and most importantly, errors. In the world of coin collecting, errors can turn a common coin into a highly valuable piece. And yes, even a modern coin like the 2013 penny can have these rare mistakes. Some of the known errors for 2013 pennies include off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned on the coin. There are also double die errors, where parts of the design appear duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process. Another type is a die crack, where a small line appears on the coin due to a crack in the die used to strike it. These errors are not common, and that's exactly why collectors are willing to pay for them. For example, a 2013 no mint mark penny in average circulated condition might only be worth 1 cent. But take that same coin, and if it's in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used and still has its original shine, it could be worth a few dollars. Now add a noticeable minting error, and the value can jump even higher. Some error coins from this year have sold for anywhere between $10 to over $100, depending on the type and visibility of the error. In rare cases, especially with strong double die features or dramatic off-center strikes, collectors have paid even more. There are also high-grade coins to consider. Coins are graded on a scale with MS 70 being perfect. A 2013 no-mint mark penny graded MS 67 or higher can attract attention from serious collectors. These coins are extremely well preserved, with almost no visible flaws, and they can sell for significantly more than face value. So how can you tell if you have one of these valuable coins? Start by checking the date and the area where the mint mark would be, just below the year. If there is no letter, you have a Philadelphia coin. That's your starting point. Next, look closely at the coin's condition. Is it shiny? Are there scratches or wear? Coins that look almost brand new are always more desirable. Then, examine the details. Look at the lettering, especially Liberty, and In God We Trust. Do you see any doubling? Are the edges sharp and clear? Flip the coin over and check the shield. Are the lines crisp? Do you notice anything unusual, like misalignment or extra marks? Using a magnifying glass or even a smartphone camera can help you spot small details that are easy to miss with the naked eye for fakes. Modern pennies like the 2013 are rarely counterfeited because the cost of making a fake usually exceeds the coin's value. However, altered coins do exist. Some people try to modify coins to make them look like error coins. For example, they might scratch the surface to mimic a die crack or try to alter the design. To avoid this, always compare your coin with verified examples, and if you believe you have something special, consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Here's something surprising. Even though billions of pennies are produced each year, most people never actually look at them. They pass through hands, pockets, and cash registers without a second thought. But collectors see something different. They see potential. Another interesting fact is that many people are now saving pennies not just for their face value, but for their metal content and collectible potential. While the 2013 penny itself is not made of solid copper, it still represents a piece of history, a snapshot of a specific year in American minting. Collectors also enjoy building complete sets. That means having a penny from every year and every mint mark. So even a 2013 no-mint mark coin can be an important piece in someone's collection. And let's not forget the emotional side of collecting. For many people, coins are more than just metal. They're memories. Maybe it's the penny you found as a child, or the one your grandfather kept in a jar. Each coin carries a story, even if it's a quiet one. So why do collectors still care about a modern coin like the 2013 no-mint mark penny? Because in a world where everything is digital, coins are physical. You can hold them, examine them, and discover something new every time. And sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coin can turn out to be the most interesting. It's not just about finding something valuable. It's about the thrill of the search. The idea that hidden in plain sight among everyday objects, there could be something rare. So the next time you get a handful of change, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. That 2013 penny without a mint mark might not make you rich overnight, but it might just open the door to a fascinating hobby, or even lead you to a discovery you never expected. And here's the real question. How many valuable coins have already passed through your hands without you even noticing? Imagine pulling a single penny from your pocket and discovering it might be worth far more than 1 cent. Not because it's old, not because it's gold, but because of a small detail most people never notice. Today, we're diving into the story of the 2014 D-Mint Mark Lincoln Penny, a modern coin that quietly holds secrets many collectors are still chasing. At first glance, the 2014 D Lincoln Penny looks completely ordinary. It's the kind of coin you might get as change at a grocery store or find lying forgotten in a drawer. But like many coins in U.S. history, its true story is hidden in the details. This penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why you'll find a small D mint mark on it. It's part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, one of the most recognized coins in American history. The Lincoln penny itself dates back to 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a groundbreaking moment, as it marked the first time a real person appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. Over the decades, the design has changed several times, but Lincoln's portrait has remained constant. By 2014, the penny had already gone through major design transitions, including the introduction of the Union Shield on the reverse side in 2010. The 2014 D penny carries that same modern design. On the front, you see Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. On the back, Instead of the old wheat stalks or the Lincoln Memorial, you'll find a shield with 13 vertical stripes and a banner across it. This shield represents unity and strength, symbolizing the original 13 colonies coming together as one nation. It's a simple design, but it carries deep meaning. Now, let's talk about what the coin is actually made of. Many people assume pennies are solid copper, but that hasn't been true for decades. Since 1982, most Lincoln pennies, including the 2014 D, are made of zinc with a thin copper coating. This makes them lightweight and inexpensive to produce, but it also means they are more prone to wear and damage over time. What makes a 2014 D penny special? After all, millions of them were produced. In fact, the Denver Mint struck billions of pennies that year. But here's where things get interesting. Even in years with high production numbers, certain coins stand out because of condition, rarity in high grades, or unusual minting errors. One of the biggest factors that can make a 2014 D penny valuable is its condition. Most pennies in circulation quickly become worn, scratched, and dull. But coins that remain in near-perfect condition, known as uncirculated or mint state, are much harder to find. Collectors are especially interested in coins graded MS67 or higher. At that level, even a modern penny can command surprising prices. There have been examples of 2014 D pennies in top condition selling for significantly more than face value. While most are worth just a cent, high-grade specimens certified by professional grading services have sold for anywhere from a few dollars to over $100, depending on their quality and eye appeal. That may not sound life-changing, but it shows how even modern coins can gain value under the right circumstances. But condition isn't the only factor. Errors can also make a coin stand out. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process. For the 2014 D penny, collectors have reported a range of minor errors, including off-center strikes, die cracks, and doubling in certain areas of the design. While not all errors are valuable, some can attract strong interest, especially if they are clearly visible and unusual. For example, a double die error, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated, can make a coin much more desirable. These errors are rare because they occur during the die-making process, not during the actual striking of the coin. If you ever notice unusual doubling in the lettering or Lincoln's features, it might be worth taking a closer look. Another interesting category is coins with striking defects, such as weak details or uneven surfaces. While some of these reduce value, others can actually increase it if they are unique enough. Collectors are always searching for something different, something that stands out from the billions of ordinary coins. Now, you might be wondering how to tell if your 2014 D penny is real or worth keeping. First, look for the mint mark. The small D should appear just below the date on the front of the coin. Next, examine the overall quality. A valuable coin will usually have sharp details, clean surfaces, and a bright or well-preserved finish. It's also important to check the weight. A standard 2014 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it's significantly heavier or lighter, that could indicate an unusual error or, in rare cases, a counterfeit. While fake pennies are not very common due to their low value, it's still a good idea to be cautious, especially if something seems off. Magnification can also help. Using a simple magnifying glass, you can inspect the coin for small details like doubling, cracks, or unusual marks. These tiny features are often what separate an ordinary coin from a collectible one. Here's something many people don't realize. Even though the 2014 D penny is relatively new, it's already part of a long tradition of collecting Lincoln cents. Some collectors aim to complete entire sets by year and mint mark. Others focus only on high-grade coins or error varieties. This means there is always demand, even for modern issues. There are also fun and surprising details about this coin. For instance, the Union Shield design on the reverse was chosen to represent national unity during a time when the country continues to evolve. It's a modern symbol on a coin that has existed for more than a century. That blend of history and modern design is part of what makes the Lincoln penny so appealing. Another interesting fact is how many people overlook these coins. Because they are so common, they often go unnoticed. But that's exactly what makes the search exciting. The idea that a valuable coin could be hiding in plain sight keeps collectors looking through rolls of pennies, hoping to find something special. Collectors today love the 2014 D penny not because it is rare in general, but because it represents opportunity. It's a reminder that valuable coins aren't always ancient or made of precious metals. Sometimes they are recent, everyday items that just happen to have the right combination of condition, detail, and uniqueness. It also appeals to new collectors. Unlike older coins that can be expensive and hard to find, modern pennies are accessible. Anyone can start searching for them without spending a lot of money. This makes the hobby more inclusive and exciting for beginners. Over time, as more coins become worn or lost, high-quality examples of the 2014 D penny may become harder to find. This gradual change can increase their desirability among collectors. It's a slow process, but it's one that has happened with many coins throughout history, so the next time you see a penny, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Check the date, find the mint mark, and examine the details. That small coin might not seem important, but it carries a story that connects you to over 100 years of American history. And who knows? That simple 2014 D Lincoln penny in your hand might be more than just spare change. It might be a small piece of a much bigger story, waiting for someone curious enough to notice it. What if the small copper-colored coin sitting unnoticed in your pocket right now could actually be worth far more than 1 cent? Not because it's ancient or made of gold, but because of a tiny detail most people never even think to check. Today, we're diving into the story of the 2016 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a modern coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, yet holds surprising secrets that collectors are quietly searching for. The 2016 D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The D Mint mark tells us that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the major coin-producing facilities in the United States. While millions of these pennies were made, not all of them are created equal, and that's where things start to get interesting. To understand this coin, we need to take a quick look at its background. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, making it the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Over the decades, the design has changed, but Lincoln's portrait has remained on the front or obverse of the coin. By 2016, the penny had already gone through several reverse design changes, and since 2010, it has featured the Union Shield design on the back. The year 2016 doesn't mark a major historical milestone for the penny, but it does sit in an interesting era of modern coin production. By this time, pennies were no longer made primarily of copper. Instead, they were composed of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change actually began in 1982 due to rising copper prices, and it continues today. So while the coin looks like copper, it's mostly zinc inside. Now, let's talk about what makes the 2016 D penny special. On the surface, it might look just like any other penny you've seen. Lincoln's profile faces to the right, with the words "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 2016 along with the small D Mint mark to the right. On the reverse, the Union Shield stands tall, representing the strength and unity of the United States, with 1 cent and United States of America clearly displayed. But collectors don't just look at coins for their design. They look for differences, imperfections, and rare variations. And that's where the 2016 D penny starts to stand out. One of the most talked about aspects of modern pennies like this one is the possibility of mint errors. These errors can happen during the production process, and even though quality control is strict, some flawed coins still make it into circulation. For the 2016 D penny, collectors have reported several types of errors that can significantly increase a coin's value. For example, there are double die errors, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the die creation process. This can sometimes be seen in the lettering or in Lincoln's features. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin design is not perfectly aligned with the blank, leaving part of the coin blank and the rest compressed. These types of errors are easy to spot and can be very desirable. Another interesting error involves die cracks or cuds, where the die used to strike the coin begins to crack or break, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin surface. While these might look like damage to the untrained eye, collectors know they can add real value. Then there are coins with unusual coloration or plating issues. Because the penny is made of zinc with a copper coating, Any problem in the plating process can result in a coin that looks different from the rest. Some may appear dull, streaky, or even partially missing their copper layer, exposing the silvery zinc underneath. So, if millions of these coins were made, why would any of them be worth more than a cent? The answer comes down to rarity and condition. Most 2016 D pennies are extremely common, especially in circulated condition. But when you find one with a clear mint error or in near-perfect condition, that's when the value can increase dramatically. In fact, some high-grade 2016 D pennies, especially those graded as mint state 67 or higher by professional grading services, have sold for several dollars, sometimes even more depending on demand. While that might not sound like life-changing money, it's a huge jump from 1 cent. And when you add a noticeable mint error into the mix, the value can climb even higher. There have been examples where error coins from this year have sold for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. A dramatic off-center strike or a strong double die can turn an ordinary coin into something collectors are willing to compete for. But here's the important part. Not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Some coins are damaged after leaving the mint, and these are generally not worth more than face value. So how can you tell the difference between a real mint error and simple damage? First, look closely at the details. A true mint error will usually affect the design in a consistent and natural way. For example, a double die will show clear, repeated lines in specific areas, not random scratches. An off-center strike will still have a clean edge where the design ends, rather than jagged or bent metal. Second, pay attention to the weight and feel of the coin. A standard modern penny weighs about 2.5 grams. If your coin feels significantly lighter or heavier, it could indicate something unusual, but you'll need a precise scale to confirm. Third, consider the overall condition. Coins that are shiny, with sharp details and minimal wear, are more attractive to collectors. Even a common coin can gain value if it's in exceptional condition. Another tip is to compare your coin with a known normal example. Small differences can become more obvious when you have a reference point. And if you think you've found something truly unusual, it may be worth having the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. Now, here's something surprising. Many valuable coins are still out there, hiding in plain sight. They're sitting in jars, drawers, and everyday pocket change. The 2016 D penny is a perfect example of this. Because it's so recent, people rarely think to examine it closely. But that's exactly why collectors pay attention. There's also a psychological factor at play. People tend to assume that only old coins can be valuable. But modern coins, especially those with errors, can be just as exciting to collect. In some ways, they're even more accessible, because you might find one without spending a fortune. Collectors today love coins like the 2016 D penny because they represent the thrill of the hunt. You don't need to attend auctions or spend thousands of dollars. You just need curiosity, patience, and a careful eye. Every coin you check could potentially reveal something unexpected. Another fun fact is that the Denver Mint, where this coin was produced, has been operating since 1906. It's known for producing billions of coins each year, yet even with advanced technology, small mistakes still happen. And those mistakes are what keep collectors interested. The Union Shield design on the reverse also carries symbolic meaning. The shield represents unity, with 13 vertical stripes joined by a horizontal bar, symbolizing the original colonies coming together as one nation. It's a design that connects modern coins to the country's historical roots as we move toward a more digital world, where cash is used less frequently. Coins like the 2016 D penny may become even more interesting to future collectors. Physical currency is slowly becoming less common, and that could make even recent coins feel like pieces of history someday. So the next time you receive change, take a closer look before you toss those pennies aside. That small, overlooked coin might have more to offer than you think. It could be perfectly ordinary, or it could be a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into stories, mysteries, and opportunities. The 2016 D Lincoln penny may not be the rarest coin in the world, but it reminds us that value isn't always obvious at first glance. Somewhere out there, a single penny is quietly waiting to be noticed. The question is, will you be the one who finds it? What if the penny sitting quietly in your pocket right now isn't just spare change? but a coin with hidden details, collector demand, and the potential to be worth far more than 1 cent. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 2017 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a modern coin that many people overlook, yet one that holds surprising interest in the world of coin collecting. At first glance, the 2017 D Lincoln penny looks like any ordinary penny you might find in circulation. It carries the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that has been part of American coinage for over a century. But like many coins, the real story lies beneath the surface in its history, production, and the small details that most people never notice. The 2017 D penny was minted in Denver, one of the major United States mint facilities. The small D mint mark you'll see on the front of the coin, just below the date, tells you exactly where it was made. In 2017, billions of pennies were produced across different mints, and the Denver Mint alone struck a massive number of these coins. That might make it sound like this coin is extremely common, and in many ways it is, but that doesn't mean every 2017 D penny is the same. To understand why this coin matters, we need to step back and look at its place in history. The Lincoln penny itself was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure. Over the decades, the design has changed several times, reflecting different moments in American history. 2017, the reverse side of the penny featured the Union Shield design, which had been introduced in 2010. This design shows a shield with 13 vertical stripes, representing the original colonies, held together by a horizontal bar symbolizing unity. Above it, the words E pluribus unum reinforce the idea of strength through unity. It's a modern design, but it carries a deep historical message. The metal composition of the 2017 D penny is also worth noting. Like most modern pennies, it is not made entirely of copper. Instead, it consists of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This composition has been used since 1982 as a cost-saving measure. While it may not sound impressive, this layered construction plays an important role when it comes to errors and variations. And this is where things start to get interesting. Even though millions of 2017 D pennies were produced, not all of them came out perfectly. In the world of coin collecting, errors are where value often hides. Small mistakes during the minting process can turn an ordinary coin into something collectors actively search for. One of the most talked about possibilities with modern pennies like the 2017 D is die errors. These happen when the dies used to strike the coins develop flaws over time. For example, you might find doubling in the letters or numbers, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated. This is known as a double die error, and depending on how visible it is, it can significantly increase the coin's value. Another type of error to look for is off-center strikes. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. A well-centered off-strike error can be visually striking and highly collectible. There are also die cracks and cuds, which appear as raised lines or blobs on the coin surface. These happen when the die begins to break down after repeated use. While they might seem like defects, collectors often see them as unique features that make each coin different. Now, you might be wondering, if so many of these coins exist, can a 2017 D penny really be valuable? The answer is yes, but condition is everything. Most 2017 D pennies found in everyday circulation are only worth their face value. However, coins in uncirculated condition, meaning they have never been used and show no signs of wear, can be worth more. These are often graded by professional services, which evaluate the coin's quality on a scale. A high-grade 2017 D penny, especially one graded at the very top of the scale, can sell for several dollars, and in some cases even higher. While that might not sound like life-changing money, it becomes much more exciting when you consider error coins. There have been instances where collectors have paid significantly more for 2017 D pennies with clear and dramatic errors. For example, a strong double die or a major off-center strike can push the value into the tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and demand. These are not common finds, but they do exist, and they are actively sought after in the collector market. Even subtle differences can matter. A coin with a slightly sharper strike, better luster, or fewer marks can stand out among millions of others. That's why experienced collectors carefully examine coins under magnification, looking for the smallest details that others might miss. Of course, with any collectible item, Authenticity is important. If you think you've found a valuable 2017 D penny, there are a few simple steps you can take to check it. Start by looking closely at the mint mark. It should be a small, clear D, located just below the year on the front of the coin. The lettering and numbers should appear crisp and consistent with other genuine coins. If something looks off, such as unusual spacing or uneven shapes, it could be a sign of damage or alteration. Next, examine the coin's surface. Genuine mint errors are part of the coin itself, not something added later. For example, a double die error will show consistent doubling in specific areas, not random scratches or marks. If the coin looks damaged rather than flawed during production, it is less likely to be valuable. Weight can also be a clue. A standard modern penny weighs about 2.5 grams. While slight variations are normal, a significant difference might indicate something unusual, though it's always best to have the coin checked by a professional if you're unsure. If you believe your coin might be special, you can consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. These experts can confirm whether the coin is authentic and assign it a grade, which helps determine its market value. Now let's talk about some fun and surprising details. Did you know that even though the penny is one of the smallest denominations in US currency, it is also one of the most widely collected? People of all ages enjoy searching through rolls of pennies, hoping to find something rare or unusual. The 2017 D penny is part of this ongoing tradition, where modern coins can still spark the same excitement as older ones. Another interesting fact is that the cost to produce a penny is often higher than its face value. This has led to ongoing debates about whether the penny should continue to be made at all. Yet despite this, coins like the 2017 D penny remain a part of everyday life, quietly passing from hand to hand. Collectors also appreciate this coin because it represents the modern era of minting. Unlike older coins, which often require significant investment to acquire, coins like the 2017 D penny are accessible. Anyone can find one, which makes the search itself part of the experience. There's also something satisfying about the idea that value can hide in plain sight. A coin that most people ignore could turn out to be a small treasure, simply because of a tiny detail or an unusual flaw. So why do collectors love the 2017 D Lincoln penny today? It comes down to a combination of factors. It's modern, which means it's easy to find. It has a meaningful design that connects to American history. And most importantly, it offers the possibility of discovery. Every coin is a chance to find something different, whether it's a high-grade example or a rare error. For many collectors, it's not just about the money. It's about the hunt, the knowledge, and the satisfaction of spotting something that others might miss. The 2017 D penny fits perfectly into this mindset. It's a reminder that collecting isn't limited to rare and expensive coins. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as a penny. And that brings us back to the question we started with. Could the next penny you come across be more than just spare change? The truth is, most will be ordinary. But every now and then, one might stand out. Maybe it has a sharp, flawless finish. Maybe it shows a subtle doubling in the design. Or maybe it carries an error that transforms it from a simple coin into a collector's piece. The 2017 D Lincoln penny may not seem extraordinary at first glance, but like many things in life, its true value depends on what you're willing to look for. So the next time you see a penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, because hidden in that small piece of copper-colored metal might be a story, a detail, or even a value that most people never notice. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple penny, and unknowingly holding something that collectors across America are quietly searching for. A coin so modern, so ordinary at first glance that most people would never think twice about it. Yet under the right conditions, it could be worth far more than 1 cent today. We're talking about the 2018 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin that millions of people have seen, but very few have truly understood. At its core, the 2018 D Lincoln penny is part of a long-running American tradition. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, created to honor President Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected figures in U.S. history. By 2018, this coin had already been around for more than a century, evolving in design and production techniques, yet still maintaining its iconic identity. The D Mint mark on this coin tells an important part of its story. It means the coin was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the major coin production facilities in the United States. Every year, both the Philadelphia and Denver mints produce pennies, but subtle differences in production can make certain coins more desirable than others. In 2018, the U.S. Mint continued using a modern composition for the penny. While older pennies were mostly copper, the 2018 version is primarily zinc with a thin copper coating. This change actually began in 1982, but it still surprises many collectors today who assume all pennies are solid copper. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and has that familiar copper color, even though its core is different. On the front, or obverse, you'll see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This image has remained largely unchanged for decades, making it one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. Above Lincoln's head, you'll find the word Liberty, and on the right side, the year 2018 along with the small D mint mark. The phrase "In God We Trust" arches along the top. Flip the coin over, and you'll notice something that newer collectors sometimes overlook. Since 2010, the reverse of the Lincoln penny has featured a Union shield design. This shield represents Lincoln's role in preserving the United States during the Civil War. The design is bold and symbolic, with 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies, bound together by a single horizontal bar at the top. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. At first glance, the 2018 D penny seems incredibly common. After all, the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies that year. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity doesn't always come from low mintage numbers. Sometimes it comes from mistakes. And this is where collectors begin to pay attention. Error coins are one of the most exciting parts of modern coin collecting. These are coins that were struck with some kind of mistake during the minting process. And even in a highly controlled environment like the U.S. Mint, errors still happen. With the 2018 D penny, several types of errors have been reported by collectors. Some coins show off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned. Others display die cracks, which look like thin lines running across the surface of the coin. There are also double die varieties, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated, giving a shadow-like effect. But perhaps the most intriguing errors are those involving weak strikes or missing details. In some cases, parts of the shield or Lincoln's features may appear faint or incomplete. To an untrained eye, these might look like damaged coins. But to a collector, they could be hidden treasures. So why does this matter? Because these small differences can dramatically increase the value of a coin. A standard 2018 D penny in average circulated condition is still worth just 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, it might only be worth a few cents to a collector. But introduce a rare error and everything changes. There have been examples of 2018 D pennies with noticeable errors selling for anywhere from $20 to over $200, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the mistake. In rare cases, exceptionally clear and dramatic error coins can command even higher prices, especially when graded and certified by professional services. Grading plays a huge role here. Coins are evaluated on a scale that measures their condition, from heavily worn to perfect mint state. A 2018 D penny that has never been circulated and shows a strong, clean strike can achieve a high grade. Combine that with an error and you have something truly desirable. Now, you might be wondering how to tell if you have a valuable 2018 D penny. The first step is to look closely at the coin. Use a magnifying glass or even your smartphone camera. Pay attention to the details. Look for anything unusual like doubling in the letters, uneven edges, or missing design elements. Next, check the mint mark. Make sure the D is clearly visible and matches the style used in 2018. Counterfeit pennies are rare, but altered coins do exist. Some people try to modify coins to make them appear like errors, so consistency in design is important. Weight is another clue. A genuine 2018 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it feels significantly heavier or lighter, that could indicate a problem. Also, examine the color and surface. Genuine coins will have a consistent copper appearance, even though they are zinc underneath. If the coin shows unusual plating or discoloration, it might not be authentic. If you believe you've found something special, the best step is to have the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. This not only confirms its authenticity but also gives it a certified grade. which can significantly increase its market value. Here's something many people don't realize. Modern coins like the 2018 D-penny are often overlooked because they're so new. People assume that only old coins can be valuable. But the truth is, modern-era coins are becoming increasingly popular among collectors. They're easier to find, more affordable to start with, and still hold the potential for surprising value. In fact, some collectors specifically focus on modern pennies because they enjoy the thrill of searching through everyday change. It turns something ordinary into a kind of treasure hunt. And the 2018 D-penny fits perfectly into that world. Another interesting detail is how these coins are distributed. Billions are released into circulation, traveling across the country through banks, stores, and everyday transactions. This means that valuable coins can appear almost anywhere. They don't come with a label or a warning. They blend in with everything else. That's part of what makes this so fascinating. Somewhere out there, a 2018 D-penny with a rare error could be sitting in a jar, a drawer, or even in someone's pocket right now. Collectors love this coin not because it's rare in the traditional sense, but because it represents possibility. It's a reminder that value isn't always obvious, that sometimes the smallest and most common objects can hold hidden potential. It also connects modern collectors to a long tradition. From the earliest Lincoln cents to today's issues, each coin tells a story about its time. The 2018 D-penny reflects a modern era of minting, where advanced technology meets human imperfection, creating unexpected results. And that balance between precision and error is exactly what keeps collectors interested. So the next time you come across a penny, especially a 2018 one with a small D beneath the date, take a closer look. Don't rush past it. Don't assume it's just another coin. Because in the world of coin collecting, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary can be incredibly small. And sometimes, all it takes is a careful eye to spot it. Who knows? The next valuable coin might already be in your hands, waiting to be discovered.